Hello, everybody. Afternoon. Right, good morning. Well, good afternoon, yeah, and welcome to National University Week. For those of you who have just joined us and haven't seen me before, my name is Heather. I'm from CareerMap. I'll be your host for today. I'm joined by Martin, who's just popped up. Hello, Martin.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so Martin's from Nottingham Trent University, and he's going to be talking about how to thrive at university. So looking at everything around university life, living away from home, and generally how to transition from school or college through to university and settle and feel content. So for any of you who haven't used this platform before, there's a chat box on the right hand side. Any questions that you've got, please pop them into the chat box. When Martin's finished the presentation, we'll do a Q&A at the end of the session as well. The session is being recorded, so don't worry about missing anything. It will be emailed to you after the event. So you've got everything to hand as a resource after this session as well. And that is my cue, really, to disappear. Hand over to Martin, and I will see you for the Q&A.
Great, thanks a lot. So yeah, I'll turn my camera off just so you don't get distracted by my little mugshot in the corner. So yeah, as already been said, this talk or presentation is just about the first sort of like few weeks and months of being at university. So the transition from being a student at sixth form or college to starting at the university that you go into. So I will just click along a few slides. So these are the learning outcomes of the session. Just a little bit about me as well. I work at Nottingham Trent University in the student recruitment team. So I spend most of my time going all over the country talking to year 12, year 13 students at sixth forms and colleges right across the UK. And we cover everything to do with the sort of like journey of applying to university. So we do talks around finance, we do talks around courses, when you talk around personal statements and so on. And then obviously this session is just aimed at students that are going to be starting university in September, October time, and just what to expect. So the first thing we're going to cover is the accommodation side of it. So most of you, I would imagine at this stage, have already looked at accommodation at the universities that you've applied to. You'd have already made your firm choice, and you might have even booked your accommodation already. Universities do work in different ways in regards to booking accommodation. So I'm going to give you our example now, and then I'll talk briefly about what other universities can do with it as well. So with our accommodation, you can book with us as soon as you've accepted us as your firm choice university. So you can go onto our website and register, and you can book the exact room that you want to stay with us as well. So yeah, these are just some of the price breakdowns that we have. We have different types of accommodation. We've got some on campus. We've got some a little bit just outside of our campuses. We've got 3 campuses in total, and yeah, all of them have accommodation literally on the campus next to the teaching facilities and students' union and library and so on. But then we do have some that are probably like a 5-10 minute walk away as well. Prices vary as well between the ones that are on campus and a little bit further away. And then you can have like your own ensuite flat, self-contained flat, up to one where it is shared facilities right across the line, whether it's like shared bathroom facilities, shared kitchen facilities, and so on. And there is private accommodation as well, so you don't have to stick to halls of residence if you don't want to. If you go into a big town or city, big student town, sorry, or city like Nottingham, then there will be lots of private accommodation as well. So we've got lots of areas within our city centre that are sort of like dedicated to student accommodation. So you have their own private halls of residence, but then there's also lots of houses that you can rent with people as well. And generally the way that it works with us is that most students stay in the halls of residence for the first year. And then when the students are in their second and third year, they will rent a house with their friends. First year, when you come in the halls, it's usually potluck who you're with. You don't know probably who you're going to be living with. Whereas when you're in your second and third year, you actually can like get your people together and rent the accommodation between yourselves. Obviously, that'll be sorted out in your first year. So students, once it gets to about Christmas time and they're acclimatized to being at the new university and they've got those friendship groups set up, the sort of like New Year time, January, February time, that's when people start looking at accommodation for their second and third year. And in a lot of cases as well, once you've got your house or your accommodation sorted for your second year, then some people continue that same place into the third year and so on as well. So like I said, with ourselves, it's an online application. You can choose your preferred accommodation, and you can actually, like I said earlier as well, you can choose the actual room that you want to stay in as well. There will be a deposit that you need to pay. So with this, it's usually just a couple of £100 that you put down as your deposit, and then that gets taken off your accommodation costs once you start with us and you start paying the rent and so on. So that's how it does work with us. Other universities, it might be that you just sign up to stay in their accommodation, and then that's it. You don't book your room. You don't. You might have to pay a little deposit to begin with, but it might not be that you get your room allocated until you actually start the course or get to the university, or it might be a couple of days beforehand where they send the information out to you. So it just depends, like I've said already, on the university that you go into. So it might be worth researching the accommodation at the different places, if you're still not made your mind up, that is, about where you want to go to. Because if accommodation is a big key thing for it and you want to be in a certain type of accommodation in a certain area, then research that now. But like I said, with us, you can book straight away as soon as you accept our university. As soon as you accept NTU as your firm choice, you can book the room. But other universities, it might be that you just sign up to it. You might still have to pay a deposit as well, but then you won't find out where you're actually staying until you get on campus or a few days beforehand. There are different types of accommodation packages as well. So ours is all self-catering. So you get the kitchen facilities with it, but there's no food or meals provided, where some universities do provide food as well. So it might be like a meal plan where you get your maybe breakfast and evening meal. It might be that you get fed 3 times a day. It just depends on where you're going. So again, check out the catered accommodation as well with that. So just going to move on to the studying side of it now. So studying at university, it is different to being a student at college or being a student at sixth form. It's a lot more independent learning. It's a lot more about you as a student doing the work. When you're at college and at sixth form, then the teachers and tutors and so on will know you. They'll know you a little bit better, especially if you're in a sixth form, because you might have been with those teachers since year 7. So you're going to have an established relationship built up with them, and they're going to know how you work and how you tick. But at university, it is a lot more on you, a lot more responsibility on yourself. So you need to bear that in mind. There's going to be no one really chasing you up, making sure that you're going along to lectures or anything like that. It's all a case of yourself, like self-motivation and so on. So it can be a little bit different, but that's what Welcome Week is all about. And I'm going to cover Welcome Week in a second. It's about getting acclimatized to being in new surroundings, but also seeing how a place works in regards to handing work in, what the processes are for it, how you get monitored for turning up to lectures and tutorials and seminars. So like I said, it's a lot more about you and learning styles as well. There's all the help in the world that you can get at university, like ours. We have our library facilities where we provide additional support in how to reference your essays and projects. We have help and support how to structure your essays and assignments and stuff like that. So you can go and get help with it. And also we teach you how to get your work handed in and up to scratch on what a university academic is looking for in the work that you're handing in as well. Move on to the next slide. Sorry, this one's a video, but it doesn't work very well. So as I mentioned already, the academic support with it as well. There's a lot of online guides and tutorials to help you with your studies. At our university, it's called Now. You get your username and password set up in Welcome Week, and then you can go on there and you can access it as well. There's the tutors as well. So you'll have your academic tutor, and you'll have your course tutor, and you have your personal tutor, and then we also have mentors at our university. So there's similar things that will happen at all universities across the UK. So you'll have a mentor assigned to you from an older year group. So when somebody in their second and third year, they mentor people that are in their first year. So you've got help right across the board. So from personal point of view, academic point of view, course point of view, and obviously student point of view from the mentor. So there's lots of help and advice and guidance out there. Lots of people that can signpost you to the relevant areas where you can go and get the help with it as well. The tutors, you can email and book an appointment to go and have a chat and a meeting with them at any point. And then also we strongly sort of encourage working groups with students as well. So not just from the older year groups, like I mentioned, with the mentors, but just in a group, we try and get a bit of a culture together where everybody's sort of in it together and helping each other out and best practice and so on. And then there's the Students' Union as well. So our Students' Union is run by our students, and they also run support workshops and have support areas where you can go and speak to people from that area as well. So although the emphasis is on you with the independent learning, there's lots of different sections and little pockets of support right across the university to help you out with whatever you might need help with or additional support with, or just a friendly face to chat to every now and again. So mentioned Welcome Week already. So Welcome Week is quite commonly known as Freshers as well, or Freshers Week. A lot of universities used to call it Freshers, but it's sort of, I don't know, over time it's turned into Welcome Week. And it used to be just like a few days or a weekend, but now they are getting bigger and bigger. We have about 500 different activities that we offer right across our Welcome Week, and it runs from like a Friday that weekend, all the following week, and then the following weekend as well. So it's actually a little bit longer than a week. It's about 10 days in total. And within that, there'll be lots of different activities to get you acclimatized to being on the university campus, acclimatized to being in a different town or city, and then acclimatized to the university's workings as well. So you'll have an induction chat from your course. You will have like tours around the campus, tours around the city. We run trips to places like IKEA, so you can go and buy your bedding and your cutlery and things like that you need for your flat. But then there's also different types of activities around hobby areas as well. So you might have a hobby that you do at home already. You can join the different hobby groups that we have at our university. They're generally called clubs and societies. So they are based around like sporting areas. So you've got the big ones like football, rugby, hockey, netball, that type of thing. But then they go down to the more niche or specialized areas. So we've got like surfing societies, we've got mixed martial arts, we've got cheerleading, all that type of stuff. And then you've got the other side of it as well, like where it is the general hobby side of it. So it might be like a music societies, we've got gamer societies, we've got even like chocolate eating societies before in the past. And it's just a chance for you to sign up to them, carry on doing what you've done already, and meet people that are like-minded and interested in the same sort of stuff. But you can also sign up to things that you've never tried before, just to get involved with it and see how it works. So we've got about 150 different ones that we offer at Nottingham Trent University. But you can also, if you are able to get a few friends together, so you can get 5 other people together, our Students' Union actually gives students money to set up their own Students' Union, so they can get a hobby group together that might not already be set up. I'll just pass this slide. And then there is the sports side of it as well. So how sport works at universities, generally Wednesday afternoons is not timetabled for any lectures, tutorials, seminars, any academic side of it. It's all sort of like blanked out, so people can go and do the hobbies that they're interested in. And sport is a key thing for that as well, because we're quite keen at our university to get students moving and get the body moving and health and well-being and all that type of thing as well. So you can do it up to whatever level that you want to as well. So these are some of the areas that we've mentioned already, but you can do it up to any level. So we have the teams that represent the university, the different sports that we have, and the top end, like the first teams that are really high standard, and then it goes all the way down to play for fun. So if you just like that sport or just want to have a go at that sport, then you can do that as well. There's various different sessions that we put on, different timetabled sessions, but like I said, Wednesday afternoon tends to be the key one when everybody gets involved in it, or it's not timetabled for stuff as well. Then we have the volunteering side of it. So you can get involved in our volunteering. So we have community volunteering, where you can get involved in local schools and local organisations. We have sports volunteering as well. We can go out again into the local community and help coach things. And then we have our international volunteering packages as well, where we send students all over the world. We've been sending students to Fiji, South Africa, South America, different places in Europe, doing a variety of different educational, conservation and sporting projects. So you can get involved in this. And again, this will be highlighted at Welcome Week, where you can go and sign up for it. It's all signposted to get you embedded and involved in the community that we have at NTU. Obviously, I'm talking about NTU because that's where I'm from and that's the stuff that I'm most familiar with. But most universities work in the same way and have the same opportunities and things that you can get involved in. And most universities' Welcome Week or Freshers Week will be exactly the same as well. So you'll have all the activities to get acclimatized to being at university and that are helpful things, and then there'll also be the fun side of it as well, where you're going out and socializing, and there's big party nights, but then there's also little more intimate nights where you can meet fellow students as well. So no matter what your interests are and personality is and needs are, then there will be sessions that are put on to get students acclimatized to it. And also, if you're a student that's staying local and commuting to your local university, there'll be lots of activities that are put on specifically for students that are local as well, just to, again, get them acclimatized to being in a different environment, but also they might not have the chance to do everything, or might not have the methods of meeting loads of new people, because they might not be in student accommodation. There's lots of events that are put on to get you integrated into the university as well. We also have something at our university called Dashboard. Again, there'll be similar things at other universities as well, and this is just a way to monitor your engagement on the not just the core side of it, like the academic side of it, but anything that you do at university. So it's a way just to see how you're getting on, and the stats back up that the more engaged a student is with university life, and not just the course, but like I said, everything else, the more of a higher grade they get in their degree. So it can mean that you come out with a higher grade. And we have like our thing in place just so you can monitor, see where you could perhaps like be a little bit more involved in things, and it suggests things to you as well. And it's just to make sure that our students are getting the full value really from the tuition fees that they're paying, and accessing the full service that the university offers to people. So the support available, this is a key side of it as well, and at the moment it's even more important with everything that happened with the pandemic and COVID and everything. It has been a little bit different, and people have been living their lives a little bit different for the past couple of years. Thankfully, everything is sort of going in the right direction and is pretty much back to normal. But it has had an impact on people over the last couple of years or so. So we want to make sure, and like I said, other universities are in the same position as us, we want to make sure that students feel as comfortable and content and as happy as they can be being in a different place, studying and so on. So the support that you have, there's a lot of resources, there's a lot of effort, a lot of money and finance pumped into it to make sure that every student, no matter what they're feeling, no matter how they're getting on, they can get the support that they need to make sure that they can carry on like thriving, as the title of this talk says, that they can carry on thriving at university and making sure that they're having the best possible time that they can and achieving the best possible grades that they can. So there's different things that you can do as well. So before you arrive, any things that you need to disclose or any issues that you might be feeling or having, then make sure that you've got all the right documentation for it and that the university is aware of everything as well. We have an event at our university called Get Sorted, so this helps you out with regards to the financial application, so student finance and getting your head around all that, and the budgeting aspects of university as well. So like I said, other universities will have probably something similar to what we run. Make sure your DSA, so Disabled Student Allowance application, is in and in on time. And then just contact the university and the accommodation just to make sure any arrangements for any specific needs are in place as well. Like if we're not sure of anything, or don't know about anything, then we can't make sure things are in place for you. Whereas if you are in contact with people and disclose stuff, then it will be in place for you when you start your course. So support university. So as you can read on the screen, we have a variety of different areas that we can help support students with as well. So no matter what a student is feeling or going through, there are things in place to help make sure that transition from being a student not at university to being a student at university is dealt with and is addressed as well. So we have lots of different things that you can access. So there's counselling, there's referrals to specialists. We have puppy therapy sessions as well. The dog on screen is Jimmy Chipolata. Mindfulness walks, yoga, and then we've got discounted gym membership as well. So like I said, we try and put a bit of an emphasis on people doing sport to help out with the mental well-being stuff as well. So we're getting towards the end of what I'm going to be talking about, and then we're going to hand it over to the Q&A in the chat box and things like that. So any questions that you have about anything that I've spoken about already, just pop it in the chat, and we will hopefully be able to answer those questions and cover them. But what you need to do now, just on the screen, so the financial application. So if you've not got that done, get it done. The deadline's coming up soon. So get it filled out, get it submitted and sent off. If it's not in and it's not sort of like submitted in time, there's no guarantee that your finance will be there for you when you start your course. Or if it's in before the deadline, then it will be. It will definitely be in place by the time you start your course. The post-application open days as well. So this is a key thing. If you are still not sure about which university you want to go to, every university are running post-application open days at the moment. That's the best way to get a feel for a university, by visiting them. There's virtual ones, yes, you can check out the virtual things as well, but just going on campus and having a look around and speaking to the staff and students, it gives you a real good, strong feel for the place as well. So check out the post-application open days and the post-application virtual open days just to get an idea. Research the accommodation. So like what I've said earlier, research the accommodation that the university has to offer, and look at booking the accommodation if you can book the accommodation now. And also if it is letting you select certain halls or certain rooms, then they do get booked up quite quick, or the accommodation goes quite quick. So make sure that you're on it with that. Student room, that's just a way of meeting students that are going to university as well. So it's a way that you can register and have a chat with people and meet people before you actually get there, in Facebook groups as well. And then another key thing as well, once you go into the university and it's all confirmed and everything, you will get your welcome week pack or guide sent out to you a week or so before you actually go off and start your course. Read through it and make sure that you understand everything in there and you know what's coming up, and you can plan your week once you get there. It gets you excited about it, obviously, but it also gives you a bit of a head start about what you want to do and acclimatise in to that place already before you even get there. So that is pretty much about it from me. We do have sort of experience days at our university where I'm from, so you can sign up to the information that we send out about taster days. So if you're still not sure, or you want to try a subject out, you can do with us. That's our little link for it just there. But also pretty much all universities offer experience days and taster days in certain subjects as well, so it might be a good thing to look at that and check them out, and yeah, give you an idea of what a university campus might be like and a university course might be like. So yeah, that is it from me in regards to information. So I think I'll put my camera.
We've got lots of questions.
All right, brilliant, that's good.
Yeah, are you happy? Are you happy for me to just crack on?
Yeah.
Brilliant. I'll start from. Oh, by the way, everybody, I'm sorry that my lighting's gone terrible. I just look like a hologram or something, but I am real. I'll start from the beginning, and we'll move kind of backwards. So Trish said, would you recommend traveling or moving away? So traveling from home or moving away to go to university?
It's a personal preference, really. There's pros and cons for both arguments to it, really. If you're moving away from home to a different town or city, then you're probably going to be spending more money, because a bulk of being a student at university, the money goes on the accommodation side of it and bills side of it. So if finance is an issue for you, then maybe staying local might be a better option. We do have a lot of students that come to Nottingham Trent University that commute for the first year, and then they want to have the student experience of living with people in the second and third year. So they might rent a house with friends in the second and third year. And then vice versa. We have students that come and stay in the accommodation for the first year in the halls of residence. Then they might stay at home for the second and third year and commute in. So they get a bit of a both experience through that way. But it just depends really on the person who it is. If it's a hard question to answer or recommend what people can do. It's probably worth visiting the universities on the open days and seeing whether it's a place that you would like to live and stay there, and then just weigh up the pros and cons of do you want to be away from home, or do you want to get the full experience of being in halls of residence and everything as a student.
Well, we were just having a session previous to this actually, and we were very much talking about how to make a decision about where to go to university, and really what came out of it is obviously there's so much that you can put down on paper and weigh up on paper, but the reality is if you go somewhere, you can very quickly kind of decipher whether you can see yourself there and how it feels. So I think that's exactly what you're saying, isn't it, really? Like, you don't truly know until you get there. So open days are the perfect way to do that, really. There was a question around when your open days are actually. Have you got a link to them or a place on the website we can direct people to?
Yeah, so if you just go, you can just Google it, just NTU open days. We've got an open day coming up, or an open day weekend on the 1st and 2nd of July, I think it is. It's a Friday and a Saturday. So that's our open day for generally people that are looking at 2023 entry. So for year 12 students. If you are going to university this year, so if you're finishing your studies like now and then you're going off to university in September time, then there are post-application open days, and they're more specifically for you. But if you're not going until a year in September, then the July ones are fine. If you are even going to university in September, if you're going this year, then you can still come along to our open day on the 1st and 2nd of July. But the post-application ones, there might be some that are a bit more nearer coming up.
Okay, brilliant. Trish actually asked on the subject of open days, how many people attend them at any one time?
Well, ours, we have like thousands of people attending them at one time. We've got 3 big campuses, but we are a very big university. We're one of the biggest universities in the UK. I think in regards to student numbers, at the moment, we're currently 2nd in regards to student numbers. So we are a big university. Some open days, it might be a lot less amount of people on them than that. They are capped as well. So it's not like it's just a free-for-all where people can just turn up and come along. So we do cap the numbers to make sure that it's still a very good experience for the student, and it's not where we have like masses of people and we give people time slots to come along to it. But ours are very busy.
Okay, brilliant. Is an open day the same as an experience day?
No, so our open days are where we invite every student along for every course. So they will come along and they will have a little chat from the academic about the course in a lecture theatre, but it will just be about how the course is structured and what happens in the course, and just a little bit more information from it. You have a tour around the campus, you can have a look around the accommodation and so on. With the experience days that we run, they are more specific to subjects. So some universities call them like taster days. Some universities call them subject specific days. We call them experience days because you're experiencing that course. So we don't offer them for every course. We offer them around, we do things like business, we do law, we do sports science, but it's just when we get academic people to sign up to deliver them is when we put them on. Whereas an open day, there'll be so many open days throughout the year. I think we have about 5 that we offer throughout the course of the academic year. Whereas the experience days, it might just be once that we run a law one, or once that we run a journalism one, or something like that. So the experience days are more about the course. You come along, you might not see the accommodation. It's more being in the lecture theatre and having a taste of what that course is about. Open days is just the general information about the university and a little bit about the course.
Okay, brilliant. That works perfectly. A couple of more questions around NTU specifically. So Leah said, do you have parking at the uni for students?
We do at 2 of our campuses. So we've got our Clifton campus, which is where our science and technology courses are and our humanities courses are. There is parking at that campus. We have another campus called Brackenhurst, and it's where our animal and rural and sort of like geography courses are based at, and there's parking there. Our city campus doesn't have parking because we are in the middle of the city centre, so it is a little bit harder to provide parking for students. But if you're in our city campus, you don't really need to have a car because we're in the middle of the city centre. The transport links to get from different town or cities to us, like on trains and buses and things like that. You're in the middle of the city, and it's about a 5-10 minute walk max from the bus stations and the train stations. And we've got a tram system in the city centre as well. So yeah, if you did want to bring your car, there might be private car parks where you can park your car, but I would imagine you would have to pay for it. Whereas Clifton and Brackenhurst, you don't.
You've kind of answered my next couple of questions actually, but it'd be good just to recap it again. So Jack asked, is it a campus or city university, and how far are you away from the city centre? So it sounds very much like it depends what you're studying, doesn't it?
Yeah, so the city campus, so city is where our law, business, journalism, art and design, architecture courses and social science courses, they're all at our city campus, and literally you are in the middle of the city centre. So we're not like some universities where our buildings are jumbled up with like shops and restaurants and things like that, and it's dotted all over the city. We do have our own university quarter of the city, so it's where all the accommodation, teaching facilities, library, students' union, they're all clumped together, but you literally walk 2 minutes and you are in the middle of Nottingham city centre. Our Clifton campus, where the sports and science and technology courses are based at, is probably about 3 miles outside of the city centre, and there's interlinking buses and a tram network that can take you in. They take about 10 minutes, 10-15 minutes. And then we have our Brackenhurst campus, which is basically a working farm with an equestrian centre and animal unit. That's probably about 10 miles outside of the city centre. But again, there is an interconnecting bus that takes probably about half an hour to get into campus.
Okay, brilliant. So there's lots of options then. When we were talking about accommodation, just going back to kind of the beginning, Leah asked, do you not apply through Ucas? You apply via a different method. That's correct, isn't it?
Yeah, so the accommodation, it will be directly to the university. So you'll just contact the university accommodation departments, and then they'll tell you the process of how you do it through those guys. There are private accommodation providers in Nottingham, and they are linked to the university. So we've got a list of private accommodation that we make sure that are up to the right standards for health and safety reasons and other things that they have to sign up to. But again, you're better off going through the university's official accommodation lines. So if you just, whatever university you're thinking of going to, just put that university in Google, get them up, and they'll have accommodation that will be very easy to get to on their homepage, or there'll be a search bar on the homepage and just put accommodation in there. And then obviously there'll be information online, but they should be like contact details as well, email, phone numbers for you to contact them to see what their procedures are.
And what about actually going to view accommodation? Is that something that's possible, or is it all online?
So yeah, it will be online. So with ourselves, you can see the different types of accommodation that we have. There might be little videos on there where they show you the virtual tours of them. But then on open days as well, you can visit the accommodation on open days. So we have our accommodation open, so students can walk around campus on a campus tour and then dive in the accommodation and see what it looks like from the bedrooms point of view, and the rooms that they're actually staying in. But accommodation can be different. All universities have different stuff. Some of the more red brick older universities, some of their accommodations like really old, whereas they might have some like really new accommodation on campus as well. So it can vary quite a bit. So yeah, again, look at the accommodation pages, and hopefully there'll be virtual tours on their videos and things. But on the open days, you should be able to get to see it firsthand as well.
Brilliant. Shauna asked a question around accommodation. She says, do you have to leave the university student accommodation after your first year?
Not always. No, if there's a reason why you want to stay in the halls, then you can have a chat with the accommodation services and take it from there. We have students that have stayed in right the way through, but generally it's a little bit cheaper to get a house in the second and third year, so that's why people do it. So in the first year, in the halls of residence, they usually have all your bills included, so you have your like energy bills and broadband and all that type of thing included in it, but it can be a little bit more expensive. Whereas if you rent a house with your friends, it's a little bit cheaper, so people go down that road in the second and third year as well with it. And universities also like to keep the halls of residence free for first years that are coming through, because they don't know the city, they're not acclimatized to it, and having the accommodation on campus is just a little bit easier for them to acclimatize and get used to being where they are, and they've not got to worry about booking accommodation that in an area that they perhaps don't know very well.
That makes sense.
Yeah, but you can, we do have students that stay in the halls right the way through, but it's the conversation that you need to have with a specific university and their accommodation team to see what happens.
Okay, brilliant. So actually moving away from accommodation now, Josh asked, can you give some information on financing university, please? Now, Joshua will say that's a very, very open question, and I suppose we could do a full session on that in itself. But Martin, where would you start with that? How do you want to take that question?
So in regards to finance, most people in the UK access the student loans system. So student finance is where you get the loans to pay for your experience at university. So everybody, no matter what their financial background is, can get a loan to cover the tuition fees. So it goes straight from the student loans company straight to the institution that you're studying at, and you get the full amount to pay for it. There's no upfront costs or anything like that. That's how that works. In regards to the living costs, you get the maintenance loan, and that is something called means tested. So that's where they look at the household income of where you live, so on what your parents or your guardians earn, and that determines how much of a loan that you can get to pay for university experience. So you apply for that. You need to apply for that now if you're going to university in September. But if you're not going until next year, if you're in year 12 at the moment or first year at college, then you've got plenty of time to do that application and look into it. So that's what most people do. When I went to university, I got the student loans, but I didn't get enough to cover what I needed when I was studying. So I just had to get a little part-time job to help cover the cost, because my parents weren't in a situation to be able to give me any money. So I started off working in a bar, local bar, just like serving drinks. And then I ended up working for the university on their student ambassador scheme. So just like representing the university on events like open days and stuff like that. And that gave me enough money to cover what I'm doing. If you go onto Google and put in Ucas budget calculator, it should bring you up on a page on the Ucas website, and you can type in the university that you are thinking of studying at, and then it gives you a breakdown of how much, roughly, what people are spending on different things in that university. So it will give you an idea of roughly how much money you might need, and you can address the shortfall. So it might be that your parents or guardians are able to contribute a little bit towards university experience. They might give you like an allowance each month. They might pay for your accommodation. It just depends on your own personal circumstances. But it's better to look at it earlier rather than later, and then you can put things in place and like work out that you might need to get a little bit of a part-time job when you're at university, or look at other methods of financing it as well. But it is quite an open-ended question, and people deliver whole sessions an hour in length to cover the ins and outs of it. But again,
I've actually just put the link to that budget calculator in the chat there. So for anybody that wants to use that, then yeah, it's within the chat now. And actually, as you were just talking about that, Jacob asked, are there any grants or scholarships available at NTU?
Yeah. So we offer scholarships. We do scholarships around different areas. So around like sports, around music. If you just type in onto Google again, I know I keep saying Google it, but it's the easiest thing to do and everyone can do it on the phones. But you just put in NTU scholarships, it takes you through to a form that you can fill out on our website, and then you put all your details in there, and then someone from the scholarships team will contact you and have a chat with you and go through it all, because we don't offer like one scholarship for all. It depends on personal circumstances. So we do offer them. We do offer bursaries as well. So we offer bursaries for students that meet certain criteria as well. So bursaries are great because it's free money basically. Every university does offer a bursary in some form. Like ours is, we give our students like money. Some universities might take like money off your tuition fees. Some universities charge up your card that you can spend in your student card that you can spend in the shops and cafes around campus. So there are, we do offer bursaries and scholarships, but other universities will as well.
Brilliant. Again, I've just found the link that you're referring to, the scholarships page on the website. So just pop that in as well. Sean has just popped into the chat. She says, can you still get into your uni with a BTEC?
Yeah, so we accept BTECs. So anything that you study at sixth form at college, whether it's A levels, BTECs, cash, whatever it may be, T levels, I know they're just starting but coming up as well. Anything that you study, they all get converted into Ucas tariff points. So our average entry requirement is about 112 to 120 Ucas tariff points. So from a BTEC extended diploma point of view, you're looking at DDM to DMM is like our average entry requirement. So yeah, we do accept them.
Okay. Brilliant. There were a few questions about career support and employability networks and channels. So yeah, can you tell us a little bit about what people can expect after graduation in terms of employment and the ways that you can support that?
Yeah, so we've got our employability team at the university. So we don't just expect you to access that when you're finishing your studies with us or after you've graduated. We work with you right the way through your university experience to make sure that you're heading in the right direction to get the job that you want to get. So it's an investment at the end of the day into getting the future career that you want to have. So we recognize that and we work with you right from the start. So in your tutorials and in your catch-ups with various people, we'll get you thinking about that. We do offer out on about 80% of our courses, we offer a work placement year option with it or a sandwich year option with it. And again, that's great practice for looking for experience in applying for jobs and so on. We give you like advice and guidance on interview techniques, how to look for it, writing covering letters and so on. So you can access that. And then once you've graduated from university, you can access the employability team's services for, I think it's I'm pretty sure it's 3 years after you've graduated. It could be 5 years, but I'm pretty sure it's 3 years after you've graduated. You can access those services. So you can still come back and we'll look at your CV. We'll give you like interview tips and techniques as well and help you apply for jobs. And we have job fairs as well. So in our sort of like final year students, we have lots of careers fairs that we put on. So we get big companies and organizations that come along and advertise their graduate level jobs that they have coming up, and people like get in touch with them there and then. So there's lots of things that we do. I think the stat is from us is 97% of our students are either in employment or further studies, so either doing like a master's or a PhD or PGCE within 6 months of graduating from it. So we're quite proud of that stat, and it's because of the work that we put in with our students to make sure that they're, again, not just coming along to get the degree, but it's getting them ready for the world of work. Yeah.
Brilliant. Brilliant. On the subject actually of employability still, and I'm not sure whether this is something that you'd know off the top of your head, but Tanya said, what courses have the best graduate outcomes for employment?
I'm not sure. We've got hundreds of courses, so I'm not 100% sure which ones have the higher employability rates compared to other ones. But like I said, as an institution as a whole, like we're in the high 90% for people getting jobs after they graduated from us. So they're all quite high.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, then a couple of questions around gap years actually. So James and Trish have asked around, first of all, should they apply now if they want to take a gap year or wait till they get back? And also whether you see gap years as a negative thing and that it would potentially hinder an application?
No, not at all. With ourselves, you can apply for us and defer for a year. So you can apply now and then defer the start date for a year. So the pros of that is that you've applied for it, you've got the place, it's already set up, and it's deferred for a year. So you can just come back and start the course when you come back. You don't have to worry about applying for it when you're working, traveling, doing whatever you might be doing in the gap year as well. So it's already set up. And applying now, you'll get help and support, I would imagine, through your college or your sixth form that you're studying at the moment. So the tutors will be going through the process with you, whereas if you come back and apply later on down the line, it might be a little bit more on yourself, whereas you can do it now with your fellow students that you're studying with at the moment. Universities, no, they don't look negatively on it. If you sell it in a way that it's only going to enhance you as a student being at university, then it's only a positive thing. If you're talking about the skills and the experience and the knowledge, or it might be that you're going to be working for a year to save up money to go to university, whatever it is, if you sell it in a way that it's only going to enhance your, like I said, skills and everything of being a student at university, or making sure you've got a better experience of being at university, then it's certainly a good thing. But I would address it. If you are thinking of deferring for a year, don't just ask for it or apply later on. Like, address what you're going to do with that year and why it's important to you. But no, it's not seen as a negative thing. Not with us anyway. We, like I said, as long as the students using that year for a positive thing in their life, then yeah, it's only a good thing.
That's a really good tip, actually. I think it's just addressing it head on and the explanation is it's something that maybe a lot of people wouldn't know or think to do. So that's extremely helpful. Nora asked, do you have any reviews from students who are already at NTU?
Any reviews?
Yeah. Do you have any platforms like that where people can go and hear about what, current students are experiencing and think?
Yeah. There's two ways that you can do it. So on our website, so you have the prospectus that you get, the book, and you can look at the courses. But to be honest, you can get a lot more information from the actual online course leaflets that we have. They go into the course in a lot more detail in regards to the modules that you can study and how it's structured throughout the years. But on all of the course leaflets, there will be some student profile on there as well, whether it's a written profile or it'll be a video of a student talking about their experience. So there's that side of it. We do have a YouTube channel as well, so there'll be student stories and stuff on YouTube as well. But there is something else that you can use called UniBuddy. So if you just again Google UniBuddy or NTU UniBuddy, you can sign up to it, and it works a little bit like this, like the chat system that we've got at the moment. But you can go on and you can select to speak to various members of staff at the university. So I'm on there. You can speak to me directly through a chat box thing and ask questions. But there are also students on there as well from all the courses that we offer. So you can choose a student from the course that you're interested in studying. And then you can post them a question and they'll respond to your question. So if you are an architecture student, you might want to know what the contact time is and the opportunities for placements, and you can post that to a student and they'll tell you exactly how it is. It's not just something that you can read off the course leaflet. The student will get back to you with information about the course, and then it can be anything to do with student life at Nottingham Trent University. It can be course related stuff. It can be student support services if you need help in certain areas, or additional support in certain areas. We have our student finance team on there as well, so you can post a finance question about things. But yeah, it's probably a good way to get an up-to-date student's opinion about something, like using the Unibuddy system is quite good.
Brilliant. Well, again, I've just found that and popped that in the chat as well, so that sounds really helpful. Right then, Poppy says, how do you choose which student you make offers to?
So the applications come in via Ucas, obviously, and then it depends on the course what we look at. So if it's an art and design course, there'll be the portfolio, the creative portfolio that'll be submitted. So we look at that. Some courses we invite students along for an interview, and then there's a personal statement as well. So the personal statement that we read, it will have the information about the student and their passions and demonstrating why they want to do the course and talking about the course. So they're the things that we take into consideration. And yeah, base our judgment on that, really. So it just depends on what the entry requirements are for the course. So on our entry requirements, it will state what we want. So obviously you'll have the grades in there, but then there might be additional things like an interview. You might need to have so many hours or days worth of work experience under your belt. There might be the portfolio, but every student will submit a personal statement to go with their application as well.
Which brings me, it's like you read my mind to my next question, because Jack said, are there any recommended reading or activities to do that will make my personal statement better?
It's quite a personal statement. It's quite a personal thing, hence the title of it. So with a personal statement, you need to be addressing why you want to go to university and what you want to get out of it, your passion and enthusiasm for the course or the subject area that you're studying, and then also showing an understanding of the course as well. But everybody writes them in different ways, and it just depends on where you're going and what you want to get out of it and what you want to do. There's various websites that you can get help and advice and guidance on, like the Ucas website, for example. There's templates that you can start filling out on their website, and it helps towards it. We offer a talk out as well, where we can do a talk and get you doing different activities with it as well. But it probably is a good idea to have a chat with your tutors and teachers at your school or your college about your personal statement, because they will know you a lot better than what I know you, and they will know what courses you're applying for and how you can write it. And then you can get inspiration for it as well. If it's a certain subject that you're applying for, again, just do research for it, even on Google. Just type in personal statement for, I don't know, law, for example, or business management, and you'll get examples coming up for that as well. But then the other thing to do is make sure that you visit an open day or the virtual open day for the courses and the universities that you really seriously consider in applying to, and then they will perhaps talk about what they look for in their students as well. So you can apply up to 5 choices, but you might narrow it down to 1 or 2 that you really, really feel strongly passionate about. Like, just check out what they're asking for in regards to what they look for in their students by visiting the open days. Or the Unibuddy thing as well. You can access the Unibuddy thing. The Unibuddy thing, we use it, but it is a university UK-wide thing as well. So it's not just ourselves that are signed up to that platform, or the universities are as well.
Great stuff. Right then, just going to do a call for last questions, actually, because we've got about 7 or 8 minutes left of the session, and still 5 or 6 questions to ask Martin about. So if you've got anything that hasn't been addressed or spoken about yet, just pop it into the chat and we'll try and get to it. But on that note, I will kind of keep on rattling through. So Catherine, I do apologise, said, hi, can mature students get financial support in the same way as young people?
Yeah, so student finance is available for everybody. It is done on an individual circumstance as well. Best thing to do is contact them, speak to them directly. They're really helpful, they're really nice, but then they will tell you exactly where you stand and what you can apply for and can't apply for. So just student finance, just Google it. There'll be a phone number that comes up straight away, and give them a call. They might be quite busy at the moment because it is coming up to the deadline for people that need to apply for 2022 entry. So you might be on hold for a little bit, but just give them a call and they'll tell you exactly where you stand with it. But yeah, you can definitely get financial support.
Wonderful. In terms of application, Nora asked an interesting question. Would I need an interview to be accepted, or is it all through Ucas?
So you apply through Ucas, you submit your application through those guys, and then the university that you've applied to, they will contact you via Ucas. So you'll get a message via Ucas telling you what you need to do next. So if you've been invited along for an interview, then they'll give you a time and a date, or there'll be a mechanism in place where you select the time and date that you're going to go along. But you will be notified via that platform. So when you register with Ucas and send your application off, you should get an email address, an email ping back to you. Make sure that the emails are going into your inbox and not going into your junk folder, because you might miss out on important bits of information from that, if that makes sense.
Brilliant. Yeah, perfect sense. Right, Nate said, how can I view how many people are on a course or how popular each course is?
I think on our course leaflets, it does say how many we have or how many students are on the course. But I don't, to see how popular a course is, it might be something else through like the National Student Survey or NSS website that might show you stats and things on there for it. I don't think universities really publish how popular a course is, because it can look negative in some ways if a course doesn't look as popular as what it can be. So I don't think universities will do it themselves about it. But if you go on to the National Student Survey, or there's different platforms out there that you can check things out, like Unifrog I think might have that option on it where you can look at course applications and how many people have applied to it and so on.
Brilliant. Great stuff. Right then, final two questions of the session. Martin, this has been brilliant. Trish said, what teaching methods do you use and how many students? Oh, actually, we've answered that, and how many students will be in the class as a maximum. But yeah, maybe if you could just tell us about the teaching methods that you use.
Yeah, so again, it depends on the course. Some courses are a lot more research and academic based, and there's a lot more time in the lecture theatre. So the way that we teach on our courses is you have the lectures. So you have the big lecture theatre, which looks similar to like a cinema style seating arrangement, and there can be up to 400 people in a lecture. And they're generally either an hour or 2 hours in length, where someone just comes along and basically talks, and there's no sort of like questions or anything like that ping back at the academic. Then you have tutorials and seminars. So tutorials and seminars are in smaller groups. So a seminar could be around about 20, 30 people in a classroom environment. Tutorial, smaller group, maybe 10 or 12 people in a tutorial group. And there are a lot more like backwards and forwards in regards to questions and speaking to the academics. So you have that side of it. Then if you're doing a practical course, there'll be the lab-based stuff with it as well. So if you're doing a science course like sports science, physics, biology, there'll be a lot of lab time in that. But then if you're doing an art and design course, there'll be time that you spend in the workshops. So it might be like the photography labs, it might be the art and design labs, the fashion studios. Journalism courses, we've got like real life TV stations and radio stations on our campus, so students get involved in that. So it just depends on the practical elements of the course that you're doing. If you're doing like an English degree, then there's not going to be the practical elements to it. A course like that, it might be a lot more emphasis on the independent learning. So you might be spending a lot more time in the library, researching, reading, and doing the independent studies alongside it. So it just depends on the course and what you're doing in regards to how that mixture of either lectures, seminars, tutorials, practicals or independent study are jumbled up really. So it's quite a hard question to answer.
Whereas it depends, doesn't it?
Yeah, but if you come along to an open day, then they will tell you how the course is structured, and you'll see the facilities and the workshops and stuff if it is more of a practical based course, and you can get an idea for it. But probably similar to what you're doing in your studies in your A levels and BTECs, the more academic courses, you might spend more time in a classroom, whereas the more practical it might be, the more you might be in the art workshops or the sport labs or the science labs and that type of thing.
Brilliant. And the final question of the session is from Josh. We spoke about financing university, and you yourself said that part-time work is something that you undertook to help finance the university. He says, are there lots of part-time jobs available to help with the living costs? And I imagine that this is a question that's directed specifically at NTU, because every city and town, city is completely different. But can you tell us a little bit about the opportunity that lies within Nottingham?
So, yeah, the university, we have like an area where in the Students' Union, I think it's in the Employability bit as well, where we advertise part-time jobs. So you can go along, they'll be advertised on our online platforms as well. So there's lots of part-time jobs that you can do within the university. So in the Students' Union, you've got the cafes and the restaurants and the bars that you can get work in. We've got our sports centres where we employ students to basically run the student sessions as well. So whether it's like just booking people in or whatever it may be. Then we have the Student Ambassador Scheme, which is what I worked on. So we use students on open days, but there's always activities happening at the university where we need students to help run it, and like external events that are happening as well. We have our outreach department where we go out into local schools and do sessions with like primary school children, where we go along and get them used to the idea of what a university is. So you get paid to work on them. So there's lots of jobs around the university, but then being in a city as well, there's lots of places. So there's lots of shops and restaurants and other areas where you can get jobs. A lot of students that come to us as well, they get transferred from where they're working in their home environment. So if they're working in like Tesco's or Sainsbury's or McDonald's or Subway, where there's lots of branches throughout the UK, a lot of them get transferred to the areas here and work in those places when they're studying with us, and then when they go back home, they go back and work in the branch local to them. So there's lots of part-time work. There's lots of bikes flying around the city doing Deliveroo and Just Eat and Uber Eats and all that type of thing. So if you've got a bike, you might want to be a delivery person. But yeah, it's a big city, and we have lots of different part-time jobs that you can get, and lots of opportunities for students to be able to earn money through the university as well.
Fantastic, brilliant. Well, that is a wonderful kind of ending to the session. I think it's really positive. There's been so much that you've covered, so many questions. So I wanted to first of all thank everybody that's attended today. There's been hundreds of you. Your questions have come through brilliantly, and hopefully we've answered everything that you were looking for. Martin, thank you for putting together such a brilliant and comprehensive presentation, and for Nottingham Trent University to be part of Uni Week. It's been brilliant. Thank you from CareerMap to all of you. Can I just hand over just you for a little parting statement before we log off?
Myself?
Yeah.
I'd just say that just have fun doing everything that you're doing in regards to looking at universities. Like, travel around, have a look at the open days, but just have fun applying as well. It's a great, exciting time, and yeah, just make the most of it. Don't be daunted by it. Just be excited by it. And yeah, hopefully see you at NTU at some point.
Wise words. Right then, everybody, thank you so much. Go and enjoy your afternoon, and hopefully I'll see you for another session this week.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Good luck, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.